Someone that I think we've been watching a little bit, at least from a distance, has been Mick Jenkins. He dropped this second album, Pieces of a Man, seen debut, The Healing Component. He's dropped a couple of EPs in that time. Um, Give us a little bit of background on Mick. I mean, he's obviously another Chicago rapper, but who is this guy?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of it. He really busted out with the EP called "The Waters" and the Waves,
Mhm.
and at that point, the Chicago scene is already really buzzing. But he kind of stood out as like a real storyteller. He has like a more bassier, lower register. And he kind of just sounds like wiser beyond his years. He's not like making ignorant,
Mhm.
but even for a lyrical artist, he does sound like older and like wiser, I guess you could say, right? And obviously, judging from where he's from, he started popping up on other tracks with Saba, Chance, all those guys, right? So
Mhm.
just debating in that space. He's actually on a really good Chance song, "Grown Ass Kid," the
Mm.
Unreal Coloring Book song. He's one of the featured verses on that. Uh, but then the Healing Component, his debut album, comes out. It's kind of disappointing. It's like overly dense, just kind of hard to get into. Like, yeah, he's trying to tell a lot of stories, but it just didn't totally work for me. It was tough to really take any songs away from it. So I was really looking forward to the follow up because I know the talent's there, and I think this definitely was a much better result for sure. But what was your take for someone who was less familiar with him going in?
Yeah, I kind of saw him as like an in between I don't know, like Saba and Vic Mensa and Chance. Like I found him kind of within that spectrum. I feel like he's a little more soulful than like Vic. And he definitely brings it out in his music. Um, but really, I think we've listened to so much Chicago rap this year that I was just kind of was like, oh, I know this. This sounds very familiar for this year. Reminded me a lot of No Name, where I felt like it was pretty consistent through, but nothing really jumped out too much. But overall, just kind of quality. I don't know. I guess like Padded Locks was probably my favorite with Ghostface.
That was
But yeah, I guess and Understood I liked a lot near the end. Soft Porn I also found myself bobbing my head too. So there was a couple songs that really caught me, but overall, just like yeah, this is quality. It's Chicago right now. This is the sound. So um, I think what I find most I don't know interesting about it is I do think a lot of these Chicago rappers have a very similar sound at the moment, and you know, Chance's album has to be upcoming. I mean, it's been what almost 2 years since Coloring Book, over 2 years.
over 2 years now, yeah.
So you have to think there's an album coming. I wonder if Chance is going to try to do something different, or if he's going to continue to lean into this sound. Because I feel like I don't think he like revolutionized the sound, but he definitely popularized it. And I think if anyone's going to kind of move Chicago sound in a different direction, it's going to be him. But I know it's rooted in jazz and all that from a time before. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's interesting because like you think about these guys and like who did we review? We reviewed Tokyo, Saba, No Name. We didn't review Joey Perp, and now we're reviewing Mick, and Smino's coming out in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And Smino in particular is one who sounds the most like Chance, right? But then Mick, I mean, vocally, he's nothing like Chance, right? But it's the production,
Mm-hmm.
that
Right.
jazz, that soulful influence. And I don't know if they're going to go away from that because I think it really works for them. And also because it's not, doesn't sound like mainstream hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
it's inherently a good thing. So even if you're going to maybe uh, go over old ground that you've been doing, it's still different than what other people make.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
true.
interesting. I don't know if there's a lot of urgency to really switch up the sound like that, but I think all of these artists continuing to just grow as artists grow lyrically. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like Mick, Mick's a guy who presents himself as really lyrically, really into songwriting. That doesn't mean every song he makes is anything special, nor is all the lyrics actually good. I mean, just because you try
Mm-hmm.
and be lyrical doesn't mean you get a pass when it doesn't totally work. And that was kind of my healing component. So I think just having everyone get better, like Joey Perp, we didn't talk about Quarter Thing. I think I was away when it came out, but that was an album that I feel like Joey Purp actually kind of took a step back. He got less unique because he started sounding more homogenous, but not in a good way, not in a Chicago way. So I think these artists, you know, Chance is kind of his own case because he's so famous. He's so much bigger and
Mhm.
wealthier than everyone else from Chicago. But you know, like Vic is also interesting because he's gets so much shit online for all the stuff he does. But you know, I think the more underground guys like Tokyo and Mick and Saba, like I think they just need to work on maybe consistency more than worrying about changing up the sound. But it's an interesting thought.
Mhm. Definitely interesting. Like you said, this is definitely a better showing for Mick than his first album, and there's growth. So hopefully he continues to grow, and hopefully he can continue to bring Chicago rap. Because I think even though I'm saying I wonder if there's going to be a switch up anytime soon, it is probably my favorite style of rap right now. Like I find it the most artistic and most pleasurable to listen to. Hopefully he can find that middle ground of storytelling.